Just Onside. A really exciting episode today. But before we crack on with the show, let me have a quick chat with OS, the man in Dubai. It's looking at quite an attractive background. So is that your room, or are you still in the hotel foyer?
Well, if it's my room, it's gonna have to be the bottom floor because I see that car. I see that car just rocked up behind my shoulder. But no, it's the hotel reception. It's a very nice ambience, as you would say, you. But no, very nice atmosphere here in the hotel reception Friday night, so everybody's in a good vibe and a good mood. So yeah, very chilled, very relaxed, and perfect place to have a nice conversation with yourself.
Absolutely. And I presume it's what was it? 9:30 Dubai.
I think so. Yeah, it's about 9:40 p.m.
9:40 now,
local
isn't it?
time,
Yeah.
5:40 p.m. in our good old Blackburn. How is it over there, you?
It's it's not as bad as it has been weather-wise. Glad it's Friday. It's been a tough week, a challenging week.
Yeah.
But I'm glad it's Friday, so I can sort of relax, unwind, sort of get the yin and yang back in balance before another week of maybe sort of challenging stuff. But more importantly, how's your first week been?
Very nice of you to ask, you. No, it's been good. It's always different, isn't it? When you start a new adventure, especially one that is in a different environment altogether. But no, all things considered, challenging, of course. But yeah, you just got to get through these initial difficult moments, but it's absolutely fine. Very nice, great team, great company, and hopefully slowly but surely it'll come together. So yeah, all good. Thank you.
Excellent to hear. Right. There is only one story today. There is only one story. An absolute bombshell to some. Maybe there were others who perhaps predicted this, but it certainly caused lots of ripples. I mean, I've got lots of friends, family who support Liverpool. It's a mixture of emotions. Some are really, I mean, it feels like a bereavement to some. Uh, there's some people at work, legs have gone. It's
My legs have gone.
yeah. There's one guy who sort of professed to be depressed for an hour. He didn't know what to do. I mean, but
Um,
it just shows really the impact that Jurgen Klopp has had. I mean, he is uh, perhaps one of the most magnificent managers to have graced the Premier League. But what I want is, before you offer your thoughts, audience, please smash a like, share all of the good stuff. But now, OS, what's your thoughts on the news, the man, and everything associated with Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool?
well, a couple of things. I'm actually firstly going to give you the floor, so you better gather your thoughts. I mean, just you say the gentleman at work didn't know what to do with himself for an hour. Nice to know that the Jurgen Klopp resignation has, or yeah, impending resignation, did a lot for Labour productivity at your place of employment. So,
Well, amongst the Liverpool fans, it did.
well, there's a fair few Liverpool fans,
Yeah,
aren't
yeah,
there?
yeah,
To be
yeah, yeah.
fair, but no, I mean, look, you mentioned about the fact that it came as a surprise to many, but perhaps not to some. I mean, you have been labeled in some ways facetiously as Nostradamus, and this is one such prediction that you did actually get right. I mean, I'm going to give you the floor. Huge news. You're absolutely right. Jurgen Klopp, an absolute huge character and figure in the Premier League and European football in general. So I'm going to give you the floor. What does this mean? I mean, I don't know in which direction you're going to take this. Like you said, it's not a bereavement, although it may feel as such for some or for many, many Liverpool fans. What's your view on this news, and what do you think it means for Liverpool for the rest of the year?
I mean, firstly, I think it's superb timing. I mean, it's something that I've said. I mean, obviously, it's gut feels, isn't it, sometimes? And I just had a feeling that this was going to be his last year. And I was quite confident when I made that prediction because I just sort of felt that it's it's quite a stressful job managing in the Premier League, and it's Jurgen Klopp seems a character where it's 100%. He fully invests in the football club, and he's been there a long, long time. There's been considerable highs, a few lows, but it just felt that maybe he'd come to the end of the line. Maybe he'd accomplished as much as he possibly could do at this football club. And as I said, because if you invest so much, perhaps the shelf life is slightly shorter, but he has been there for a long, long time. So I just had a feeling that it was going to be his last year. Uh, I mean, the scenario that I played out was that he retires from, or he finishes this season with Liverpool. Maybe he has a year out, and then he manages Germany, and then after Germany, he puts his sort of feet up, deservedly so. So that's in my mind what I considered the scenario to be, and it so transpired that the first part has happened, and I think the timing is superb. They're in a beautiful position right at this moment in time in the Premier League. This now, I mean, I'm not sure if the players knew whether this is a surprise to them, but the one thing it will do is absolutely, if it hasn't already, galvanize the team. They will, I mean, the players for Klopp would run through a brick wall for him. I think this is something that they will be absolutely uh, committed to make sure that Jurgen Klopp leaves Liverpool on the highest of highs, and that's winning the Premier League. So it's good timing. But in terms of everything else associated with Jurgen Klopp, I think he's been an amazing. It's a privilege to have had him in the Premier League, and I focus always on both aspects, not just the coaching ability, but the man as well. And in a sense, maybe the man impresses me more than the coach, because Liverpool is a unique city. It is quite unique. I mean, there are other cities maybe that have character, that have history, but Liverpool is very much unique. And there is no other man that I think could have managed Liverpool over this last 10 years or so than Jurgen Klopp, because he gets the city. I'm not sure of exactly what his politics are, but he's very much I use the word socialist in perhaps in its broadest term, but he's a guy that's genuinely compassionate. He cares about people. He cares about social justice. He speaks out against injustice, which is at the moment what the city of Liverpool always do. They always seem to stand on the right side of history. And Jurgen Klopp is a man who embodies that. So it's been a perfect fit, a perfect marriage. As a coach, he's been outstanding. He's been absolutely outstanding. He's transformed this Liverpool football side. Players that he's brought in, the type of football that he plays, everything about Liverpool has been absolutely fantastic. I mean, as I said, there's been lots of highs, there's been a few lows, a little bit of rebuilding, but it just, for me, it's going to be an extremely sad moment when he leaves. But the legacy that he's left Liverpool and the football club will be immense, and I think he will be a character that will be sorely missed. But I think people will remember what he's done for the city and for the football club, and it will be something that I think every single fan, not just Liverpool fans, every other fan will cherish as well. Because I think if you love the game, you'll realise what Klopp has done. And I'm glad that he's announced his retirement, because now it's a farewell tour, because every game at the away ground, and I think he will get a wonderful reception, which is quite rare sometimes, because there are characters that sometimes perhaps aren't always warmly received by the opposition fans. But I think with Klopp, he's a character that is universally liked. I spoke to Manchester United supporters, and so many of them were giving glowing testimonials to Jurgen Klopp, the arch rivals. So it just shows the impact this man has had. So I'm glad that I've been around to witness this man manage Liverpool Football Club. And as I said, I don't think he could have managed any other football club. He could have, but I think he was born to eventually manage Liverpool Football Club. I suppose the question will be now, what comes after, because he's taken the whole of his team. And certainly from my point of view, I think the natural successor has to be Alonso. Whether that's possible, I'm not too sure, because he's doing tremendous work at Leverkusen. And I just think with his connection with Liverpool Football Club, the fact that he's at the moment proving himself at a decent level, it means that there's going to be, if there is a successor, it has to be somebody who's accomplished. Stevie G, sorry, no chance. Other managers, maybe at the moment, I've not thought of, but certainly in terms of what comes to mind now is Xavi Alonso. So I hope that the successor is somebody who is capable, or at least deserving of following the great man, Jurgen Klopp, who is, in my estimation, one of the greatest managers, not just in English football, but in world football. And I think it will be a sad, sad day when he eventually leaves. But as to where he goes, I've got a feeling it's Germany. But certainly in terms of club football, he's been an outstanding coach, and I think Liverpool fans rightly are paying glowing tributes to this guy. And I will be sad as well. I will be sad that next year there will be no Jurgen Klopp managing Liverpool, because he adds drama, excitement, character. Those teeth, I'm going to miss those teeth as well. So it's going to be a sad day, but I've got nothing but praise for the man.
Really well summarized, Ayub. I really enjoyed hearing your kind of testimony with regards to Jurgen Klopp. I mean, you're absolutely right. I'm going to take some of your points, perhaps in reverse order. You covered a lot there, and again, beautifully said. Jurgen Klopp, I mean, before we all love our teams or support our teams, we kind of love the game, right? And you got to love the game for the right reasons. And I've often spoken about storylines and characters. It's what ultimately drives sport in the modern day, right? Any sport you look at right now, it's not just about the winning, it's about the entertainment. It's an entertainment business. And how do you drive entertainment? You drive it by the main characters involved, show business, the headliners, and what have you. And there's not many showstoppers, or at least characters when it comes to managers or coaches other than Jurgen Klopp. You said that he was the perfect fit for that football club, the perfect fit for that city. Absolutely. I mean, could you imagine, if you remember, Brendan Rodgers, who'd had a relatively kind of difficult season the year before, but Liverpool aren't in the business really of sacking managers, but they had to fire Brendan Rodgers. Why? Because ultimately there was a manager on the horizon, or manager on the sidelines, let's just say, at the time, who was available, and it was quite clear he wasn't going to be on the sidelines for too long. So perfect fit. It's the only reason why you'd make such a move. Jurgen Klopp, he'll be there at the end of this season, for 9 seasons, pretty much, right? Because I think he came in around November time, if memory serves, I think, in 2015. I'd have to double check that, but if you look at his winning record in the league, it stands up against, if not exceeds, some of the absolute greats, including Sir Alex Ferguson and Arsene Wenger. You're right in terms of where will he go down in terms of legacy, and you're absolutely right. An absolute giant and behemoth, I would say, in European football and in world football. I think what's great about Jurgen Klopp, to your point, and it might come across soppy, but let it be soppy. He has 100% approval rate, has had pretty much 100% approval rate since the day he joined. I mean, he had a fairly testing first season where he was trying to still put in place some of his tactics, some of his strategies in terms of this kind of pressing style. I remember the first game, a 0-0 draw against Spurs, if memory serves. But ultimately, it was a style that Liverpool persevered with, a character they absolutely were more than welcome and more than happy to have. Jurgen Klopp, he'd had done massive things for Borussia Dortmund. I mean, this was such a huge pickup for Liverpool, and the perfect match. And to your point, it's quite a sad day actually for Liverpool fans. Now, we both felt, like he said, that this was perhaps going to be his final season for various different reasons. It had that feel about it. You absolutely mentioned. It'll be interesting to see where Liverpool go from here. You've mentioned Xabi Alonso. I think that's an absolute good shout in terms of what he's been doing at Bayer Leverkusen. Let's see. And I think also perhaps from the perspective of, they often say that you don't necessarily want to follow the man, you want to follow the man that follows the man, right? One removed if you can help it, because it's the cliche. How do you fill those shoes? And even Xabi Alonso would not be able to fill those shoes, especially not in terms of the success that Jurgen Klopp has had. He's had immense success. I mean, you mentioned a couple of lows, but I mean, I'm going to put it in relative terms. What lows? Yes, there's a couple of huge Champions League defeats in terms of finals, a couple of absolute nail-biting finishes in the Premier League. I would still say, relatively speaking, sign me up for that as a football fan, because most football fans, I mean, ask Manchester United fans how life has been for them over the previous seasons, not even coming anywhere close not even close to the heights that Liverpool have scaled under Jurgen Klopp. It's all relative at the end of the business, at the end of the day, and they've come very close to having trophy upon trophy upon trophy. And I think disappointment and coming second is also relative, if you ask me. So look, in terms of potentially Xabi Alonso coming in, the only thing I would say is the reason why it's perhaps a good move if they do indeed go that way, Ayub, and I just want to hear your thoughts, is it at least gives him a leg up. There's a great deal of equity and buy-in with the Liverpool fans already. I think there'd be an acceptance, and I think whoever's the manager is probably going to have to kind of attack the elephant in the room, which is, look, I'm not going to be able to be Jurgen Klopp. I think that's quite obvious. I think Liverpool fans will find it very difficult to see another manager in that dugout, even a Xabi Alonso, because there's just something uniquely special about Jurgen Klopp. He was, like you said, born and raised to be manager of Liverpool Football Club. Perfect in terms of the passion, in terms of the history of that city. Of course, the club's been through a few tragedies as well. I think it was the perfect fit. It's a very sad day for Liverpool fans, ultimately because he's brought them incredible, incredible moments. And I always used to say, and I'll end on this, my son supports Liverpool. Quite a lot of my nephews also support Liverpool. And I always say to them, you've known nothing but success under this manager. It's not always like this. And I worry that that will come to fruition now, because these managers are not dime a dozen. They are unique, one in a million. So let's see how it pans out. I would agree with you on the timing. Just very quickly, Ayub, I think the timing is good. You can imagine what Anfield's going to be like for the remaining Anfield games as they kind of press ahead with this title tilt. And you're absolutely right. What better way to sign off and ride off into the sunset with another Premier League title win? So good timing. I think he was also a little bit emotional in the sense of, I think he just wanted to get it out there. He spoke about the energy needed to manage Liverpool Football Club at the highest level. He said you can't do this with three wheels, and I think he was hinting to the fact that he just needs a little bit of time out. I mean, incredible, shocking news to some extent. The fact that it's just, it always is, right? It was the same when Sir Alex Ferguson was retiring, but look, huge moment in the Premier League, but I think one that may well propel Liverpool to their goals and aspirations this season.
Which is, I mean, again, wonderfully put. And we talked about the timing. I think the timing for various reasons. One, it certainly will be a boost, and you're absolutely right. Ellen Roche, I'm talking about Leeds, Anfield. Will be absolutely rocking. Plus away stadiums as well. There's going to be a lot of emotion. So it will all, every single game now until the last game will be an event, which if you're a top player, you're going to love. So it will certainly, I suppose, encourage the Liverpool players, and they absolutely adore Klopp. So, I mean, I think even if he wasn't finishing, I think they'll be giving it everything. I think this will just add an extra 10% to 100% that they're already giving. So it's good. Plus, also, I think that he's announced it now. It gives ample time for Liverpool to prepare for life after Klopp. So it's good for the club. I mean, I'm not sure when. He probably might have made an announcement earlier to the club. I don't know. But he seems that sort of guy, that Liverpool Football Club is so important that that's his first priority. Not Jurgen Klopp. It's the football club. So it's given ample time to make sure there's a successor in place. If it is to be Alonso, which I hope it is, because I mean, you've alluded to the fact that sometimes it is, in fact, it's always difficult to follow a great manager as Alex Ferguson and sort of David Moyes, or it happened to be for David Moyes, a very, very difficult act to follow. It was almost impossible, and it proved to be the case. It's important that the void that he's left, I think Alonso at least goes a large way towards filling that void. The fact that he's proven himself in perhaps not the most challenging league, but certainly a competitive league, sort of gives confidence that he's at least somebody that it's not just a name, an ex-player, but it's a guy that has the attributes to manage a football club perhaps of the magnitude of Liverpool. So I hope it's something that they start sounding out Alonso. I'm not sure what his contract at Leverkusen is, so I don't know how difficult it will be. Real Madrid there is a connection for Alonso to Real Madrid as well, so that's always a potential spanner in the works. But I think the affection that he probably has for Liverpool, and if it genuinely is possible, I am absolutely convinced that Alonso, if he has the option, will come to Liverpool. And I hope that is the case, because it needs a manager that, if it's not a huge name, but then certainly it's a name that is connected heavily with Liverpool Football Club. And obviously Alonso is excellent playing record and a guy that's tremendously well respected and revered by the fans. So I think if they can get Alonso, at least it will soften the blow of the great man leaving.
Yeah, absolutely, Ayub. But and I think when you think about it, Ayub, what normally happens when it comes to managerial appointments is that the club often, depending on whether the manager leaves in difficult circumstances or whatever it may be, there's a tendency to overcorrect the other way, right? If you have a manager who's very much a man manager or what have you, then sometimes, and if that ends badly, let's say, then they sometimes bring in someone who's a little bit more, let's say, strict and a disciplinarian, right? We've heard of this often when there's issues within the dressing room. And then if that doesn't go so well, they often go for the kind of man manager again. So there's this kind of sometimes clubs that are perhaps not as well run often tend to overcorrect depending on what's needed, whether it's in the dressing room or the whole club in and of itself. I think that the issue here is there's nothing wrong on the playing side. There's absolutely nothing wrong. If anything, he may well be leaving the champions of England. So essentially, I think what they'll probably be looking to do is to kind of continue with that kind of good feeling and positive vibes. And there's nobody perhaps that's better, well equipped than Xabi Alonso, mainly because, let's be honest, I mean, even if Bayer Leverkusen, I mean, they're very well placed in the Bundesliga, a long way to go, obviously. But even if that doesn't come to fruition, it doesn't go the way in terms of winning the Bundesliga, there's still, I think, a lot of Liverpool fans that will say, you know what, he's proven enough. Who else can it be that's going to have as high an approval rate as Xabi Alonso? There will be huge question marks about Steven Gerrard. I floated the idea of potentially Roberto De Zerbi because I do think this is his last season at Brighton. But ultimately, even I would have to agree right now, Alonso would make the most sense simply because it may well be the case that they're going to be champions of England. And I think that is a different ending point than perhaps if you were to just go close, where some might say, look, as great as Klopp was, we might just need that slight extra tactical acumen. And that's not to say Jurgen Klopp doesn't have it, believe you me, but it's the narrative that's left over in terms of what that final piece of the jigsaw could be. Jurgen Klopp, like I said, may well engineer this team to a Premier League title. Till I think, look, the fact that the matter is today, ultimately Liverpool fans are just shocked and disappointed, and I guess sad in many ways. You mentioned about the club. He'd notified the club of you in November. That's what he said. It's a little unclear from listening to his entire press conference today and the piece where he released the news to LFC TV, I believe. It's a little difficult to tell when he told the players. I have to do a bit more reading on that, where they told him. Now, what I find surprising is where if he had told the owners in November and he'd only left it till now to tell the players. The only reason I say that is because it started to leak out in some way, shape or form. And he's got such a tight bond with the players. You'd have to think that he's informed the players in advance. I'd have to, again, fact check that. The fact of the matter is, to your point, I think this is good timing. The fact that he would leave them in the dark. I think Liverpool is a team that plays on emotion. It's a team that plays with a certain spirit. It's not a calculated nature, is it, Ayub? It's very much frantic and chaotic. And if anything, they've embraced that chaos and that speed and that energy that which they play. I think all this can do is give them a little bit more of a boost, an emotional boost to what is an emotional club. And I think ultimately, again, can you imagine if it comes to game week 37, 38, they're right in there and Anfield's kind of pouring the team on. Some may argue sometimes that emotion spills over and can manifest itself into difficult outcomes. I genuinely don't see it. I think even if they were to fall short, it would be a feeble excuse to say this was the reason why. It may well be the case that ultimately Man City prove too good in the end. Time will tell. I don't think this hurts Liverpool. You're absolutely right in terms of this season, of course. Going into next season, without Jurgen Klopp, that's going to be very, very difficult. I'd be very, very surprised, Ayub, that even if they won the Premier League title this year, I'd be amazed if they start as title favourites next season. That will be Man City and Man City alone, unless Guardiola wants to double up with a shock announcement in the next month or so, as his rival, as his long-term rival, friendly rivals, I would say, will be leaving, exit stage left. And I think I want to leave you with one last thing. One of my great friends often said to me, and this is maybe how Liverpool fans should approach it. One of my great friends often said to me, and I never forget the saying, something about don't be sad that it ended, be happy that it happened in the first place. Can't remember from the top of my head who told me that, but no, that was a good phrase, and I think that's how Liverpool fans should approach the fact that he'll have been 9 years at the helm and has taken them to many, many a great moment. So let's see how the season pans out. I think it bodes well in the end.
I think that quote is, don't cry that it's over, smile that it happened.
Something along those lines.
Which is the exact quote, but I don't know who. I mean, I think your friends obviously used that quote and tried to interpret it in his own way, which is what I always do. But just a few final points. Klopp is certainly leaving. Mohamed Salah, what do you do? You think it's his last season as well as a Liverpool player?
It's a good question, Ayub. It's a very, very good question. I think the two issues are connected? No, I think they are all independent decisions of one another. I think a lot perhaps depends on the Saudi Pro League, Ayub, because I don't think there's a club, given the age profile of Mo Salah within Europe, that is a club within the European leagues, that can ultimately give Liverpool the kind of fee that they would be after if they were to lose an asset of the caliber and kind of class that Mo Salah is still producing at the highest level. You could argue that right now at the half season poll, he would win PFA Player of the Season. So look, ultimately, I do think that the Saudi Pro League, there's been a few challenges recently for them. Let's see. I mean, it's a quick moving league. It's a league that may well be looking to make another few big bang signings, let's say, in the summer. If you remember, the bid was submitted. Liverpool rejected it, which looks good right now, as he may well be pushing them forward for a Premier League title. I think if one of the Saudi teams comes in the summer, I think there may well be a done deal. There may have even been a gentleman's agreement, perhaps, when the last set of bids came in. And I think Liverpool would be open to it, in the sense that obviously losing a manager, if we are able to cash in on a star, an aging star, but a star nonetheless, but get real big bang for their buck in terms of the player that he is, and also shift his wages off the books. Now, again, he's performing right now, so it sounds stupid to say that. If he's performing, you pay him what he needs. If you held a gun to my head, I think there's a good chance that it is his final season, unless a new manager can come in and convince him otherwise to stick with it and to give him another year or so. But let's see. I think it all depends on how that Saudi league develops. How do you see it?
I'm going to make another prediction. I think he's leaving as well at the end of the season, irrespective of whether they win the league or not win the league. I think his time is up as well, But it's a perfect opportunity for this football club, because I think it's unlike Ferguson, where you knew it was almost it was a miracle that he won the league with the squad that he had. I think with this Liverpool squad, I think if you look at some of the young players that are coming through, it's only going to get better. Now, if they do sell Salah, I think his contract is up so they'll still get a huge fee, I presume.
A huge fee, yes, but again, it's still going to require a Saudi team, isn't it? There's no European club that's going to.
So and there's still. I mean, obviously, I think the Saudi bubble certainly hasn't burst in terms of finances, in terms of players. I know there's a couple of players that have expressed dissatisfaction for various reasons. The ambassador for Saudi Arabia, Cristiano Ronaldo, has said that it's wonderful. So. I think if he does leave, which won't be, it's obviously going to be, I wouldn't say he's devastating, but it's a huge loss. I mean, he's still a top class player. But I think if they are able to secure a huge transfer fee with the young players that are coming through, with the players that are getting better, which obviously with Nunes, Jota, who to me is outstanding. I think he's in the last few games, he's been unbelievable. I've been a fan of Jota, but I think now he's showing me that he's not just a good player, he's a very, very good player. He's a world-class player. So I think the pieces are there. So it's a wonderful opportunity. I think Moisey, when he took over, it was always going to be a hard task, not just to follow the master, but to have a squad that was perhaps had peaked a few years previously. Whereas I think any coach that takes over Liverpool has got an excellent squad already, some developing players that are getting better. If they sell their gone player Salah and get 150 million, shrewd acquisition means that they could probably pick up maybe 2 or 3 quality players to enhance up the group that they already have. So I would say that I would consider them to still be favourites. If they win the league this year, next year I will still say that they probably will be a better side next year than they are this year, even without Salah, if they acquire the right players. You're not agreeing with me. Why?
Yeah, I mean, look, I get the logic. I just don't think you can remove a manager of that ilk and a player of that ilk and think we just go again. I mean, look, that's not me being defeatist or negative. That's just ultimately me stating facts in terms of what these two players, or what these two characters, I should say, mean, especially for that football club. The way I describe Mo Salah is that there are levels to players. Every Premier League footballer has to be half decent, right? And then there's the good players, there's the very good players, and then there's the great players. And just above the great players are the players who have the ability, and I don't just mean in terms of match-winning moments, but there's like this monster level, what I call the kind of monster level to the game, and he is in that ilk, the same way that Kevin De Bruyne is, the same way Erling Haaland is. I don't put those players just as great players. I put them in that absolute 1% of the 1%. Mo Salah, in terms of his contribution for Liverpool Football Club, in terms of his consistency, his commitment to the cause, commitment to his craft, the ability to do things and manufacture situations and win games. And when people think about winning games, they think, oh, match-winning moments, the big goals, the big moments. He's produced all of that and then some. But it's also the ability to tilt the field in one particular direction, to be the absolute focus of another team's attention. And quite often, ultimately, what happens at you is you may well be able to kind of replace him with 2 or 3 players in terms of getting a couple of wingers in his place and getting some, or strengthening another weakness. But it's ultimately just kind of the aggregation of parts doesn't quite fit to what ultimately one big package was. And I think ultimately he's just too important to that football club, and too important in terms of when you see his name on the team sheet for Liverpool just to simply go again. If they somehow were to win the Premier League title this year and then win it next year without Jurgen Klopp, without Mo Salah, I would be incredibly, incredibly shocked. I think if you polled 100% of Liverpool fans for in terms of what their ambitions would be next year, I think just in terms of I'd be surprised if you get 10% of people who'd say that they will be able to win the Premier League title. They are just too important. That's not to say they're going to fall off the cliff. Absolutely not. I just mean they are such special characters that we minimize their importance if we think that simply Liverpool could just continue and continue from where they left off. I do think it may well be his last season. I do think what may well then follow is Liverpool being a very, very good team. But these are special characters. They are in a different league. Manager, and one's an incredible world-class footballer who will go down as a pantheon great in the Premier League.
Absolutely agree with your final points. Well, Liverpool fans, this is our thoughts. We are absolutely awaiting your responses. Now, with comments, sometimes we get occasional comments, but with this one, I'm expecting every Liverpool fan who's watching this right now to put your comment in. What's your thoughts? What's your feelings? Will Salah leave as well? What's going to happen next season? There's a lot of things obviously there, but we'd love to hear your thoughts, because this is, in terms of footballing stories, this is one of the biggest stories of the season. And it's one of the most emotional stories of the season because of the impact of this great man. As I said, more than a coach, he's a great man as well. So we'd love to hear your thoughts. So pop your comments in the comments boxes. We will read them, and we'd love to put some comments on your comments as well. So, and on that note, I think we'll call it a day. It's been an excellent show, because it really has been a pleasure to talk about Jurgen Klopp, and it's been great to speak to you, Ois, because I don't see you these days. So I've not spoken to you, I've not messaged you because I wanted to save it for the show. So it's great to see you. Great to sort of see that things are going okay.
Yeah, I mean, we don't see one another as frequently as previous, and that's the way I designed it. Are you? So you're right. So it's just the way intended. It was intended, absolutely.
All right, so great to speak to you, Ois. So until the next time, it's obviously Cup weekend, but Ois is an extremely busy man. He's got a lot on at this moment in time, so I'm going by his schedule. So whenever Ois is ready next, he'll let me know, and then we'll be ready to shoot. But have a lovely evening or night in your case. To the viewers, have a wonderful weekend. Whatever you're doing, I hope it's fun. Be safe. We'll catch up with you soon. See you later.